Welcome to another episode of the State Sub Podcast. I'm your host, Brant Freeman. Last week we talked women's golf with Yvonne Chamness, representing Texas State's women's golf program. Today, we're talking men's golf with Sakke Siltala, a junior out of Finland, representing Texas State's men's program. They're getting ready to compete in the Sun Belt Conference tournament next week in Mississippi. And he's had a great season so far. A year ago, he was second team All Sun Belt Conference. This year, he's led Texas State in 6 of the team's 9 tournaments. Also leads the team in stroke average so far this season. And again, he joins us now on the podcast. Sakke, how are you?
I'm doing good. Thank you very much for having me.
Thanks for being on, Sakke. And I kind of mentioned how well you've been playing so far this year. How do you feel about the way you've competed so far this season?
I feel really good about it. I've played pretty solid all year, and these past 2 tournaments haven't really had my best, but I still know that sharpening up some of the stuff that I did this week in Virginia, going into conference, I can definitely feel confident and should feel like I'm there. Up on the leaderboard and having a chance to win this thing. Just played really solid all year, and I'm really looking forward to going to conference. So
beyond the way that you've played, how well do you feel as if your teammates have been playing? Like how well have you been playing collectively so far this year?
As a team, it definitely could be better. It could be a lot better. We kind of struggled early on in the spring, but kind of proved ourselves in this last tournament that we can still compete. We can still be out there. After the first day, after I want to say like 26, 27 holes, we were right there with all these top teams, and just kind of had a tough finish and a tough third round, and couldn't have a better finish. But I like where our team is trending, and I feel very confident with the team going into Annandale. So
I was going to ask you, how do you feel about the competition coming up at the Sun Belt tournament next week in Mississippi?
Oh, it's going to be a very competitive. It's the most competitive I've seen it in our conference. There's a lot of good teams. There's a lot of good individuals. It's going to be a really, really good test. And I think everybody's going to see how much, those, 1 or 2 shots, how much they're going to matter. So everybody's got to, fight for the team and, just do their best for us to, have a chance to make match play and, win that conference. So
mentioned again, you've played in 9 tournaments so far this season. In terms of the courses you've played on, which been your favorite so far this year?
Definitely the one we just played in Charlottesville, Virginia. Birdwood it's such a good golf course, and it's my favorite tournament we play every year. And I'm just really, really happy that we play there as well, because, the field is very, very competitive, and I really enjoy that. So,
I look at the makeup of the team, and there are 7 upperclassmen. You are one of them. But there's only 2 players that have been with the program for longer than a year, yourself and Heineck Groh, who've been with Texas State's men's golf program for more than 1 season. So I'm sure you've had a little bit of relationship with Heineck. What's that been like?
Yeah, it's been me, Heineck, and Jack Burke. He's also been here for 3 years now. This is last year. But I lived with Heineck my last year, and he's such a nice guy, and just really like to have him around the team. And the same with Jack. The relationship that I've built with him and over these 3 years almost. It's really, I'm really glad to have built that. And he's also a really, really good player, and he's got a bright future ahead of him. So I'm just really happy that I have built good connections with my teammates over these 3 years that I've been here.
So you won the Finnish Amateur back in August before the season started here at Texas State. What was that experience like for you?
That was amazing. I mean, to every Finnish golfer, playing as an amateur, that's the title that we want to win. So I mean that was unbelievable. I mean I was four back going into that last round and shot a bogey free 64. So I mean that helped a lot, obviously. But I mean it was just an unbelievable experience, and I mean something that I had I had dreamt of for quite some time, and I was just really happy to get that done. So.
What was it like for you growing up in Finland?
I mean, growing up there, obviously with the weather, our season is pretty short. It's anything from beginning of April until the end of October. So, I mean, that's only half of the year basically. And, the rest is just going to be, indoor practice. So, I mean, it was tough for sure because you had to go to Spain and Portugal and all these places during winter time to practice and get those reps in. But and that's what I really like about going to school at Texas State is that we can practice every single day of the year, and that's something that outdoors obviously, and that's something we just can't have back in Finland.
What are the courses like back home in Finland?
Most of them are a lot easier, a lot shorter. The grass is different. It's really not that difficult to manage yourself around those courses, and I mean, just overall a lot easier to play there than it is here in the States.
When did you first come to the United States?
I want to say 2018. We had a national training camp with the Finnish golf team. We went to Orlando, Florida, and that was my first time being in the States. And then 2 years after that, we had another training camp in Houston in 2020. That's when I got my first taste of Texas and what it's like. So.
And when you were coming over, to play collegiately, why did you ultimately choose Texas State as a program to come play for?
I mean, I got a lot of offers early on in my career when I was like 15, 16, but I didn't really know much of college golf at that point. I didn't want to commit to anything that was 3, 4 years ahead of me. And so then COVID happened, and just didn't get many offers from any schools, and I was just really happy to get one from Texas State. And there was a friend of mine, Matilda, played here in the women's team for 3 years, and that kind of helped me as well to come over here because I'd heard a lot of good stuff about Texas State, and that's why I ultimately came here.
And I'm sure you built a relationship as well with your head coach, Coach Hal. What's that relationship been like?
Oh, it's been really good. I mean, he knows a lot about golf. He's coached forever, basically. I mean, he's been in the industry for a long time, and whenever there's something that I need to ask, I can just ask, and he'll give me a detailed answer. And I mean, that's something that I really like about Coach Hal is that whenever you have a question, just go and ask. He'll always give his opinion about stuff. You might not agree with it every single time, but I mean, again, he's been doing this for a long time, and he's seen a lot of golf being played, so he knows what he's doing for sure.
So, taking you away from the golf course here for a moment, what is it that you're studying here at Texas State, and what is it ultimately you'd like to do?
Well, I'm actually studying German language as my major, and then I'm doing sport psychology for my minor. I really wanted to do something else, coming in. I wanted to do sports and exercise sciences. Just didn't really like it. A couple of those core classes, and just kind of thought I'd want to get an easy way out of school in a way, because I'd been doing or studying German basically from fourth grade and on. So I just wanted to do something that I'm good at. I don't really have to stress about school, so I can put most of my focus on golf. So.
Well, that again, Sakke Siltala joining us on the Stateside Podcast this week. The Bobcats getting ready for the Sun Belt Conference Tournament in Mississippi next week. Sakke, best of luck in the tournament coming up in Mississippi, and thank you so much for joining us on the podcast.
Thank you very much.
All right, then again, Sakke Siltala joining us on the Stateside Podcast with the men's golf program again, getting ready for the Sun Belt Tournament next week in Mississippi. Best of luck to them in the upcoming competition. Well, that's going to wrap up the podcast for this week. For Sakke, I'm Brant Freeman, as always, reminding you to keep your states up, and we'll see you next time.